First contact, Dr. Elian Nash pressed his palm against the viewport as the transport ship descended through Nix's pearl-white atmosphere. Ribbons of luminescent gas swirled around the vessel, their electric blue hue matching the knot of anxiety in his stomach. Quite the sight, isn't it? Captain Mercer appeared beside him, her weathered face reflecting the alien light. Nothing like seeing a new world for the first time. Elian nodded, forcing a polite smile. 7 years studying the Nixian language, and I still don't know if I'm ready. Nobody ever is, Mercer replied. That's what makes first contact specialists like you so valuable. You leap into the unknown while the rest of us just follow protocols. The transport shuddered as it approached the crystalline spires of Vexora, the Nixian capital. Elian checked his reflection in the darkened glass, adjusting the collar of his diplomatic uniform. The scar along his jawline, a reminder of the Martian colony uprising that had claimed his family, seemed more prominent in the strange light. Remember, Mercer said, lowering her voice, this alliance is fragile. The mineral rights to Nix's outer moons could solve Earth's resource crisis, but one wrong word. She left the sentence hanging. Elian understood the stakes. After decades of long-range communication, this face-to-face meeting would determine humanity's future in this sector of space. His ability to navigate Nixian cultural nuances wasn't just about diplomacy, it was survival. The landing was smoother than expected. As the delegation of 7 humans filed out onto the iridescent platform, Elian absorbed every detail through trained eyes. The architecture was organic yet precise. Flowing structures that seemed to grow from the ground yet followed mathematical patterns his human mind could barely comprehend. Ambassador Chen led their procession toward a gathering of tall, graceful figures, waiting at the end of a pathway lined with bioluminescent flora. The Nixians stood nearly 7 feet tall, their skin shifting subtly between shades of violet and indigo, adorned with naturally occurring patterns that resembled intricate tattoos. They're more beautiful than the hologram suggested, whispered Dr. Lahari, the xenobiologist, beside him. As they approached, Elian noticed one figure at the center, slightly shorter than the others but commanding their deference with subtle gestures. Princess Lyra Tazari, daughter of the High Sovereign and designated diplomat to humanity. Her skin held a deeper purple hue, and instead of the flowing robes worn by her companions, she wore a fitted garment that resembled armor made of a material like polished obsidian. Elian had memorized the greeting protocol, but nothing had prepared him for the moment when Lyra's eyes met his. Her irises were like liquid silver with threads of violet, and in that instant a sensation like an electric current passed through him. He stumbled slightly, earning a concerned glance from Ambassador Chen. Vex notali maris, Lyra spoke, her voice carrying a musical quality that the translation devices couldn't fully capture. We welcome Earth's children to our home. Elian was supposed to translate but found himself momentarily speechless. Something had happened in that eye contact. Something inexplicable. Dr. Nash, Chen prompted quietly. Recovering, Elian performed the traditional greeting, touching his forehead and then extending his hand palm upward. High Princess, we bring gratitude for your welcome and hopes for understanding between our worlds. When Lyra extended her hand in response, a human gesture they'd adopted for this meeting, her fingertips brushed his palm. The sensation returned tenfold, a rushing in his ears, fleeting images that weren't his memories and emotions he couldn't identify. Lyra's silver eyes widened. She felt it too. Interesting, she said in perfect English, switching from her native tongue. You carry the Vexashala, the Echo Mind. Her companions murmured in surprise. Ambassador Chen looked between them, confusion evident. Princess Tazari, we weren't aware you spoke English so fluently. I didn't, Lyra replied, her gaze still locked with Elian's. Until now. Forbidden bonds, Echo Mind. Ambassador Chen repeated, glancing between Elian and Princess Lyra with growing concern. The diplomatic reception had moved to a vast chamber within the central spire of Vexora. Crystalline structures cast prismatic light across the gathered humans and Nixians, who mingled in cautious clusters. Elian stood apart, nursing a drink that tasted of starlight and citrus, his mind still reeling from the connection he'd experienced. Dr. Nash. Lyra's voice came from behind him. She had approached silently, moving with the fluid grace characteristic of her species. May we speak privately? Ambassador Chen, noticing this, gave Elian a warning look that clearly said, "Careful." Elian nodded respectfully to his superior before following Lyra to a secluded alcove, overlooking the bioluminescent gardens below. "What happened between us," Lyra began, "is exceedingly rare. The Vexashala, what my people call a soul echo, occurs perhaps once in several generations." Elian studied her face, noticing how her skin's luminescence seemed to pulse slightly with her emotions. "I felt your thoughts," he admitted, "and memories that weren't mine." "As did I," Lyra replied. "This connection is considered sacred among my people. It typically only occurs between Nixians who share a profound compatibility." She hesitated. "Never has it been documented with another species, which explains the reaction of your companions," Elian observed. "They seem disturbed." Lyra turned toward the garden view. "There are factions within our society who believe contact with humans will dilute our culture, our very essence. This connection between us will be seen by some as confirmation of their fears, and by others as a sign that our species are meant to find harmony." She met his gaze again, and Elian felt a whisper of her emotions. Conflict, curiosity, and something warmer he couldn't name. "I've been taught to interpret omens, Dr. Nash. This feels significant." Over the following weeks, Elian found himself assigned as primary liaison to Princess Lyra, a development that both thrilled and terrified him. Each meeting strengthened their connection. He would find himself using Nixian expressions he'd never formally learned. She would reference Earth literature she couldn't possibly have read. During a tour of the sacred groves outside the capital, they found themselves momentarily alone. Bioluminescent flora cast blue light across Lyra's features as she reached toward a floating seed pod. "These carry memories," she explained. "Our ancestors believed they contained the essence of past lives." When Elian reached for the same seed pod, their fingers brushed. The connection flared, stronger this time, and he gasped as images flooded his mind. Lyra as a child, learning royal protocols. Her first flight in a Nixian vessel. Her private doubts about her ability to lead. "I'm sorry," he said, pulling back. "I didn't mean to intrude. Don't apologize." Her voice was soft. "The echo cannot be forced. It shows only what is meant to be shared." She stepped closer. "What did you see?" "You," he replied simply. "Your childhood. Your fears," he hesitated. "Your loneliness." Something shifted in her silver eyes. "And I saw yours. The tragedy on Mars. The family you lost." Her hand rose to gently trace the scar on his jawline. "Your isolation since then." The touch sent warmth spiraling through him. More than physical attraction. Though that element certainly existed, it was a recognition, a sense of finding something long missing. "This is dangerous," Elian whispered, even as he leaned closer. "Yes," Lyra agreed, her breath mingling with his. "But perhaps necessary." Their first kiss was gentle, exploratory. The moment their lips met, the echo between their minds deepened, creating a feedback loop of sensation and emotion that left them both trembling. Neither noticed the shadowy figure retreating silently into the grove, nor the recording device in their hand. When news of their growing relationship leaked to both human and Nixian authorities, the reaction was swift and severe. Ambassador Chen summoned Elian to a private meeting, her expression grave. "Do you realize what you've done?" she demanded. "The conservative Nixian elders are calling for an immediate cessation of diplomatic relations. They're claiming you've bewitched their princess, compromised her with human contamination." "That's ridiculous," Elian protested. "The connection between us is something neither of us sought or could have predicted." "It doesn't matter," Chen replied. "Perception is reality in diplomacy. We came here for a mining treaty that could save Earth's economy, not so you could engage in an interspecies romance." Later that night, Lyra came to his quarters, slipping past security with the ease of someone who knew the palace systems intimately. "My father wishes to send me to our southern continent," she said without preamble, "to clear my mind of human influence." Elian took her hands, feeling the now familiar rush of connection. "Perhaps we should step back," he suggested reluctantly. "For the sake of the alliance, no." Lyra's determination flowed through their bond. "What's happening between us is larger than politics. The echo doesn't manifest without reason." She pressed her forehead to his. "My people have a saying. When souls recognize each other across the void, The universe itself bends to reunite them. As their lips met again, Elian felt the truth of her words resonating through him. Whatever this connection was, whatever it might cost them, it had become as essential as breathing. Shadowed Hearts. The environmental dome on Nix's smaller moon provided Earth-normal gravity and atmosphere, a compromise location where the human delegation could work comfortably while remaining within Nixian territory. It was here that Elian found himself increasingly isolated, his colleagues treating him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. They're calling it the Lyra effect. Dr. Lahari informed him over breakfast in the dome's cafeteria. Your Nixian language proficiency has increased 300% since first contact. Your brainwave patterns show synchronization with Nixian neural frequencies. She leaned forward, excitement overriding professional distance. Elian, whatever's happening between you and the princess could revolutionize xenobiology. I'm not a lab specimen, he replied tersely, pushing away his half-eaten meal. No, but you're something unprecedented, Lahari persisted. The princess is experiencing similar changes. Her understanding of human culture, language nuances, even our biology, has expanded dramatically. Elian knew this was true. Their connection had deepened beyond that initial recognition into something more profound. During their increasingly rare authorized meetings, they had discovered they could communicate without words, sharing thoughts and sensations across a mental bridge neither fully understood. Their most recent encounter had been particularly intense. What began as a formal discussion about agricultural exchange programs had evolved into something far more intimate once they'd managed to slip away from their observers. In the privacy of a ceremonial chamber, their mental connection had flared as they embraced. Elian had felt Lyra's consciousness intertwining with his, boundaries blurring until he wasn't sure where his thoughts ended and hers began. The physical aspect of their relationship had followed naturally, a communion of bodies as profound as that of their minds. Afterward, lying together on ceremonial silks, Lyra had traced patterns on his chest. Something is changing, she'd whispered. The echo grows stronger. Soon we may not be able to separate our consciousness entirely. The possibility should have terrified him, but in that moment, wrapped in her essence, it had seemed like coming home. Now, 3 days later, with no contact between them, Elian felt her absence like a physical wound. Fragments of her thoughts and emotions still flickered through his mind. Worry, frustration, and a growing sense of foreboding. Dr. Nash? A junior diplomat interrupted his thoughts. There's a secure transmission for you. Priority channel. In the communications suite, he found not the expected image of Lyra, but Corvus, her father's chief security advisor. The Nixian's expression was impossible to read, but Elian felt a chill at his formal tone. Dr. Nash, your presence is required at the Central Spire immediately. Evidence has emerged suggesting sabotage of the Alliance negotiations. Sabotage? By whom? That remains unclear. Princess Tazari insists you possess information critical to the investigation. It was a pretext, Elian realized. Lyra was finding a way for them to meet despite the restrictions. The journey to the Central Spire was tense. As they passed through Vexora's floating markets, Elian noticed increased military presence and caught snippets of concerned conversation among the Nixians they passed. The connection grows troubled, his escort said suddenly, breaking protocol to address him directly. You feel it too, don't you? The disharmony in the collective consciousness? Before Elian could respond, an explosion rocked the far side of the marketplace. Screams erupted as debris scattered across the previously peaceful scene. His escort immediately pushed him into a protected alcove, hand moving to a weapon concealed beneath flowing robes. Stay here, the Nixian ordered, before disappearing into the chaos. Elian. Lyra's voice filled his mind with such clarity that he nearly responded aloud. Can you hear me? Yes, he thought back, focusing on the connection between them. What's happening? The conservative faction has made their move. They claim humans detonated the bomb, a pretext to end negotiations. Her mental voice was strained. My father believes them. I'm being confined for my protection. Elian felt her fear and determination flowing through their bond. Where are you? He asked. The East Tower. But don't come, it's a trap. They know about us, Elian. They'll use our connection to justify anything. Another explosion, closer this time, sent dust cascading from the ceiling of his shelter. Through their link, he felt Lyra's pain as if it were his own. Someone was using a neural suppressor on her, trying to block their connection. Listen carefully. Her thoughts came through fragmented now. The treaty drafts, Section 7 was altered. The resource allocations would devastate Nyx's ecosystem. This was never about cultural contamination. It's about power. Mining rights. The revelation struck Elian like physical blow. Someone had been manipulating both sides, creating a crisis to derail the treaty. As armed Nyxian security forces surrounded his position, weapons raised, Elian closed his eyes and sent one last thought across their bond. I'm coming for you, whatever it takes. The echo of her response lingered as they took him into custody. I know. Our hearts beat as one now. Divided loyalties. The detention cell was designed for comfort rather than punishment, a concession to Elian's diplomatic status that did little to ease his frustration. 3 days had passed since the marketplace bombing, and the connection between him and Lyra had grown disturbingly faint, like a signal struggling through interference. Ambassador Chen visited on the second day, her expression a mixture of disappointment and concern. The situation is deteriorating, she informed him. The Nyxian High Council is claiming the bombings were orchestrated by Earth to destabilize their government. They're using your relationship with Princess Tazari as evidence of infiltration. That's absurd, Elian protested. If you'd just let me speak with the High Sovereign. You've lost all credibility, Chen cut him off. Your judgment is considered compromised due to your attachment. What's happening to Lyra? He asked, trying to keep desperation from his voice. Chen's expression softened slightly. She's being held in protective isolation. Officially, they're concerned for her safety. Unofficially, she hesitated. There are rumors they're using neural suppressants to break whatever connection exists between you. Panic flared through Elian. He had felt the effects of those suppressants through their bond, like acid eating away at the bridge between their minds. They could damage her permanently. I'm aware, Chen said quietly. Which is why I'm here unofficially. She glanced toward the surveillance node in the corner, which had conveniently malfunctioned. The treaty alterations you mentioned? They're real. Someone on our side collaborated with Nyxian conservatives to insert terms that would devastate this world's ecosystem while appearing beneficial on the surface. Who? We don't know yet, but both our worlds need this alliance, Dr. Nash. If we lose it now, we lose everything. After Chen departed, Elian sat in meditation, focusing entirely on his connection to Lyra. Through the chemical haze of suppressants, he sent his consciousness searching for hers. Lyra, can you hear me? The response came hours later, a whisper so faint he nearly missed it. Elian, they're taking me to the Temple of Ascension tomorrow. The neural binding ritual. Cold dread washed over him. He knew of this ritual from his studies, a ceremony to sever unwanted mental connections. If completed, it would destroy their bond permanently. I'll find you, he promised. Hold on. That night, as the guards changed shifts, Elian's door slid open to reveal Dr. Lahari. We don't have much time, she whispered. Ambassador Chen believes you're innocent, and we've found evidence linking the treaty sabotage to corporate liaison Griffith. He's been working with Elder Morix to ensure the treaty fails. As they moved through darkened corridors, Lahari explained further. They needed a scapegoat. Your connection with Lyra made you perfect, proof that humans couldn't be trusted. Why is the temple ritual so important to them? Elian asked as they boarded a maintenance transport. Because you and Lyra together could expose everything, Lahari said. Your connected minds make you too dangerous. Separately, you're just one voice against the establishment. The Temple of Ascension rose from Nyx's northern wilderness like a twisted spire of black glass. By the time Elian and Lahari reached it, dawn was breaking, casting long shadows across the ancient structure. I can't go further, Lahari said, handing him a small device. This will temporarily neutralize their neural suppressants. The effect won't last long, perhaps 15 minutes. Elian nodded, gripping the device. Thank you. For what it's worth, she added, what's happening between you and Lyra? It's beautiful, a breakthrough in interspecies connection that could change everything. Inside the temple, Elian followed the pull of his bond with Lyra, however faint. The corridors twisted in impossible geometries, designed to disorient those not guided by the priests. Without their connection, he would have been hopelessly lost. He found her in the central chamber, suspended in a field of pulsating energy. 6 Nixian elders surrounded her, chanting in an ancient dialect. Lyra's eyes were closed, her face contorted in pain as tendrils of light seemed to extract something ethereal from her very being. Elian activated Lahari's device, and the effect was immediate. The suppressants neutralized. Their connection flared back to life with such intensity that both he and Lyra gasped aloud. The ritual faltered as Lyra's eyes snapped open. "Sacrilege!" Elder Morix shouted, reaching for an alarm panel. "Now, Elian!" Lyra's voice filled his mind, accompanied by a surge of knowledge. The temple's protocols, emergency overrides, everything he needed. Moving with certainty born of their shared consciousness, Elian reached for the temple's central control crystal and twisted it in a precise sequence. The energy field around Lyra dissipated and she fell forward into his waiting arms. "You came," she whispered, her silver eyes finding his. "Always," he replied, supporting her weakened form as the elders approached. "This union is an abomination," Elder Morix declared. "It defies the natural order." "No," came a new voice from the temple entrance. "It reveals a greater truth we have been too afraid to see." High Sovereign Tazara, Lyra's father, entered the chamber, flanked by Ambassador Chen and a contingent of both human and Nixian security forces. "Father," Lyra straightened, though she kept her hand firmly in Elian's. "You must listen." "I already have," the High Sovereign replied, his gaze moving between his daughter and Elian. "Ambassador Chen has presented evidence of the treaty sabotage. Elder Morax and his human conspirators will answer for their crimes." As Morax and 2 other elders were led away, the High Sovereign approached Elian and Lyra. Through their bond, Elian felt Lyra's surprise. Her father had always been distant, protocol-bound. Now something had changed. "The soul echo," he said quietly, "has not been seen in 3 generations. Our ancestors believed it signified a turning point for our civilization." He studied them with eyes identical to his daughter's. Perhaps they were right. Resonance eternal. The Great Hall of Harmony, typically reserved for Nixian high ceremonies, had been transformed for the signing of the revised treaty. Crystalline structures had been arranged to accommodate both human and Nixian delegations, while observation platforms allowed citizens of both species to witness the historic moment. 6 months had passed since the temple incident. The conspiracy had been fully exposed, with several human corporations and Nixian elders facing justice for their attempt to undermine the alliance. More importantly, the true nature of Elian and Lyra's connection had become a subject of intense study rather than fear, a potential bridge between their species that extended beyond diplomacy. Elian adjusted the formal attire that blended human diplomatic styling with Nixian ceremonial elements. Through their bond, he felt Lyra's approach before he saw her. Nervous? Her thought carried a hint of amusement. Terrified, he admitted, turning to face her. "This changes everything." Lyra wore the traditional regalia of the Nixian royal line, but modified to incorporate elements of Earth culture, a symbolic gesture that hadn't gone unnoticed by either delegation. The silver circlet on her brow marked her status as heir to the high sovereignty, a position she had nearly lost during the crisis. "The neural studies are complete," she said aloud, aware that their mental communication still unsettled some observers. "Dr. Lahari's team believes our connection has stabilized. The progressive merging has halted." This news brought profound relief. In the weeks following the temple incident, their consciousness had continued to blend, raising concerns that they might eventually lose their individual identities entirely. "So we remain ourselves," Elian said, "just with a permanent bridge between us." "It seems our minds found equilibrium," Lyra agreed. "Separate but connected, like our worlds will be after today." The ceremony proceeded with the solemnity such occasions demanded. Ambassador Chen and High Sovereign Tazara signed the treaty that would establish a framework for cooperation between Earth and Nix. Resource sharing, cultural exchange, mutual defense, and environmental protections. When Elian and Lyra were called forward, a hush fell over the assembled delegates. Their role in today's ceremony was unprecedented. "As the first recognized resonant pair between our species," the High Sovereign announced, "Princess Lyra Tazari and Dr. Elian Nash will serve as bridge ambassadors, a new position created to ensure the spirit of this treaty is maintained." They placed their hands on the crystalline treaty tablet simultaneously. At their touch, the crystal pulsed with light that spread throughout the hall, an unexpected reaction that drew gasps from the audience. That wasn't supposed to happen, Lyra thought, though her outer composure remained perfect. I think we're beyond supposed to at this point, Elian responded, a smile tugging at his lips. Later, in the privacy of the gardens they had come to think of as their sanctuary, they watched Nyx's 3 moons rise above the crystalline skyline of Vexora. I received new neural scans today, Lyra said, her head resting against Elian's shoulder. The resonance between us has created new neural pathways in both our brains. According to Lahari, we're literally evolving, becoming something neither fully human nor fully Nyxian. Elian considered this. Does that frighten you? We don't know what we might become. No, she replied simply. Whatever we become, we face it together. She turned to him, silver eyes reflecting the moonlight. The ancient texts speak of souls forged across stars, beings whose connection transcends physical forms. I used to think it was just mythology. And now I believe those myths held more truth than we realized. Perhaps this is how species truly learn to understand each other, not through treaties or trade, but through genuine connection. She traced the scar on his jawline, a gesture that had become intimate between them. Through love, the word hung in the air between them. Though their emotions had been an open book to each other for months, neither had articulated this particular feeling so directly. Elian drew her closer. When I lost my family on Mars, I thought I would never belong anywhere again. I built walls around myself, became the perfect diplomat, all protocol, no attachment. And now? Lyra echoed his earlier question. Now I belong in 2 worlds at once, he said, or perhaps in the space between them, where you are. Through their bond, he felt her joy at his words, a radiant warmth that flowed between them. When they kissed, the connection between their minds blossomed, creating that now familiar sense of unity without loss of self. 2 consciousnesses in perfect harmony. Above them, a shower of meteors streaked across Nyx's night sky, an omen that, according to Nyxian tradition, signified the beginning of a new era. As Elian and Lyra watched the celestial display, hands intertwined and minds linked, they shared a single thought. Whatever the future held for their 2 worlds, they would face it together, a bridge between stars, resonating with possibilities neither could have imagined alone. In the glow of the 3 moons, they sealed this silent promise with another kiss. Their unique connection had transformed from something feared into something revered. Proof that even across the vast differences of species and worlds, understanding could blossom into love, and love could forge new paths across the cosmos.